I love you 3,000.
The superhero world is full of brave warriors, dastardly villains, courageous deeds, treacherous betrayals, and noble sacrifices. Yes, sacrifices to protect friends, family, even entire planets and worlds, almost always at great risk to or at the cost of one's life. Our heroes always act selflessly and never for their own preservation. The Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Extended Universe, the giants that run Hollywood's multi-billion-dollar superhero factory, are abound with such brave, heroic, and tragic moments of sacrifice. They're as intrinsic a part of the movies as the cool costumes and the gadgets, the flashy CGI effects, and action set pieces. So in today's video, I'll be walking you through the top 10 superhero sacrifices in movies. So grab your tissue box and let's hop on.
If he gets the stone, half the universe dies. It's not fair. It shouldn't be you, but it is.
Sacrifices don't get grislier than our very first entry. In 2018's Infinity War, as Thanos closes in on Vision for his Mind Stone, the former realizes that the only good outcome for the Avengers is the worst possible one for himself. Rather than let the Mad Titan have his Infinity Stone and fulfill his desire to destroy half the universe, Vision decides he must destroy the stone and himself in the process. Allowing him to do so is a dilemma for the Avengers. We don't trade lives, says Captain America. But what other choice do they have? Vision convinces his ladylove Scarlet Witch to do the deed. Seeing no way around it, she pours her powers into the Mind Stone, shattering it and killing Vision. But there's a twist, isn't there? With his newly acquired Time Stone, Thanos now has the power to turn back time, which he uses to undo Vision's death. He then rips the now restored Mind Stone out of the now alive Vision's head, killing him a second time and rendering his sacrifice completely futile.
You didn't see that coming.
If having to kill your lover isn't bad enough, imagine seeing your brother die as well. Before Vision's death in Infinity War, Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, watches her twin brother Pietro Maximoff, better known as Quicksilver, get killed in Age of Ultron. In the 2015 flick, the speedster throws himself between a rain of gunfire and Hawkeye, who's shielding a civilian child. Ironically, Quicksilver dies saving the one guy he has the worst vibes with. Joss Whedon, the director, has said that he felt having the most arrogant, most annoying character die such a heroic death would resonate with the viewers. Meanwhile, the Marvel execs believed it would help solidify Scarlet Witch's character. Whether their plan worked is open to debate, with some fans far from overjoyed over such an outcome for Quicksilver. Well, Hawkeye does later name his son Pietro, so that's some consolation. In the meantime, fans are still hoping for Quicksilver to be revived, if not in the Avengers, then at least in the X-Men franchise. Jean Grey's suicide mission to save her teammates takes the 8th spot. A towering wall of water threatens to wipe out the X-Men in their jet, which has developed a snag at the worst possible moment. It's up to the telepathic mutant to slip out unnoticed and use her powers to hold back the wave while she takes control of the jet and sends it on its way to safety. This is the only way, she says, in a final farewell to her teammates as the wave consumes her. A noble way to go indeed. Or was it? Jean Grey's death in 2003's X2 actually set the stage for her return as the villainous Phoenix in 2006's The Last Stand, only to die once again, but this time at the hands of Wolverine, whom she begs to save her by killing her. So true to her name, Phoenix is the X-Men universe's most resurrected character, but her heroic effort in X2 is probably the most memorable of all of her brushes with death.
No! No! Oh, no!
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is one of the funniest films to come out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and yet it also delivers one of the most emotional send-offs for any character in the MCU. Yondu's sacrifice to save the life of his surrogate son Peter Quill is our pick for number 7. As the living planet Ego, Peter's real dad, crumbles around them after a decisive battle, the Blue Ravager embraces death after giving the Star-Lord the only functional spacesuit. In his last words to Peter, he reveals his love for the boy as he adds, "He may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy."
He may have been your father, boy, But he wasn't your daddy.
It's a moment that surely tugs at your heart, even if you're an unfeeling piece of junk. The scene that follows makes Yondu's death even more poignant, because at his funeral, the Ravagers, who had excommunicated him, welcome him back into their fold while his friend Kraglin lets out a scream that's both joyous and painful.
Yeah!
It's no wonder that the actor Michael Rooker, who plays Yondu, counts his character's death as the one that made him tear up the most. Next up is the super soldier himself, Captain America. The first Avenger, which released in 2011, chronicles the transformation of the weakling Steve Rogers into everyone's favourite super serum enhanced shield hero. Portrayed by the blonde and brawny Chris Evans, Captain America meets a watery grave as he flies the enemy bomber Valkyrie into the ocean to save New York from imminent destruction. It's a death fit for a hero, one in which there are few tears, but plenty of bravery, and even a promise to take the pretty woman dancing on another day.
You're gonna need a rain check on that dance.
It definitely doesn't have the waterworks effect of Yondu's death, and not just because the film, at its end, resurrects its hero from an icy tomb 70 years into the future, yet Cap's sacrifice counts for something more than its immediate end. For Marvel, it reinforces this all-American soldier's courageous and patriotic heart. But for this list, it's quite simple. It's Cap, the most popular Avenger on this planet and arguably the MCU's most valuable asset, as subsequent films have proved again and again and again.
I had a date.
At number 5, we have Logan, better known as Wolverine. As the X-Man lays down his life saving his daughter and her friends from dark forces in 2017's Logan, the finality of it all is what makes his sacrifice special. It's literally the end of an era, as it also spells the end of Hugh Jackman's 17-year-long career portraying the adamantium-clawed mutant. That's a lifetime in the movie world. Directed by the acclaimed filmmaker James Mangold, Logan opens in the year 2029, when the world is more or less rid of mutants, and Logan, a lot more weary, shallow-eyed and grey-haired than we've seen him before, is quietly living out his retirement as a driver. Until he's pushed into one last hero's mission, of course. Jackman turns in a hell of a performance in a gritty film that's a departure from the usual CGI-infested glory that is the superhero genre. Furthermore, Logan's death is one of the most graphically disturbing by far for an MCU hero, as he's stabbed multiple times and then impaled on a tree. That his killer X-24 happens to be his clone and mirror image, also played by Jackman, is even more hard to get over. Okay, take a break now, Marvel, because DC has the next one covered. Coming in at number 4 is the Man of Steel himself. In 2016's Dawn of Justice, featuring 2 caped crusaders for the price of 1, Superman sacrifices himself to save the world from Doomsday, driving a kryptonite spear through the monster's genetically engineered heart. The film ends on a scene where the dirt on Clark Kent's casket floats up a little bit, teasing his return in the Justice League movie due out the following year. He does materialize alive and kicking in that film, so what was the point of it all then? What makes this sacrifice impactful has less to do with the film's plot and more with comic book lore. It's a cinematic shout out to 1992, when DC did the unthinkable and had Superman killed off. With Superman now the best-selling comic book of all time by a fair margin, we've got to question DC's decision making then. Luckily for them, the gamble paid off. The Death of Superman issue remains iconic to this day. You can even call it a precursor to the trend today of superheroes dying but not staying dead for too long. Okay, back we go now to the MCU as we kick off the top 3. In third place is Black Widow, who sacrifices her life to attain the Soul Stone in Endgame, the 4th installment of the Avengers franchise. Natasha Romanoff's death is made more poignant by the fact that it could just as easily have been Hawkeye. Acquiring the Soul Stone requires a sacrifice, that of the one you love. The two friends argue, bicker and fight over who it should be, but it ends with the former KGB assassin beating out the man once sent to kill her but instead became her closest friend. A year on since the film hit theaters, some viewers are still unhappy with the outcome. Others feel it makes sense, arguing that Black Widow has always felt the need to atone for her past. Whatever the case may be, fans of Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow can take heart in the fact that the superhero's solo outing is up for release later this year.
We have to make it worth it. We have to.
We will.
We're ticking down to the final spot, but before that, let's take a look at number 2. In 2012's The Dark Knight Rises, Batman is a crippled shut-in and a hero in exile, having taken the rap for what happened in the previous film. But when Gotham faces annihilation from the League of Shadows and its menacing face Bane, the reluctant protector must once again don his cape and hood. But this Batman is a shadow of his former self, weaker, more vulnerable, basically more human. As such, the only idea he can come up with to save Gotham is to run away with the bomb and die with it. A hero can be anyone, is his answer to Commissioner Gordon, who wants Gotham to know the name of the hero they'll soon owe their lives to.
A hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders.
It's one of the film's most memorable lines, perfectly summing up its hero's strong moral credence. Christopher Nolan's apocalyptic conclusion of his Batman trilogy ends on a somewhat uncharacteristically optimistic note, with Bruce Wayne alive and well, even enjoying an Italian date with Catwoman. It appears he had the Batwing on autopilot all along while disposing of the bomb. That's a bit of a dampener, isn't it? But while the suspense lasts, it doesn't get any better than going down in a nuclear mushroom cloud.
That's detonation.
That brings us to number 1. Iron Man's sacrificial snap at the end of Endgame is by far the most impactful superhero death. Holding all 6 Infinity Stones, the armored Avenger snaps his fingers, snapping Thanos and his army out of existence. But the effort's too much for his body to take and he dies, surrounded by all of his friends. The scene's made unforgettable by 2 superb lines of dialogue. "I am inevitable," says Thanos, getting ready to snap his fingers.
I am inevitable.
But the hero beats him to it, declaring, "I am Iron Man." Few heroes get the kind of send-off Iron Man gets in Endgame. He takes care of the biggest, baddest villain this universe has ever seen. His death is permanent, which makes his sacrifice that much more valuable. If you look at it from Tony Stark's personal perspective, he has no unfinished business left to do, having achieved all that he set out to do, which includes raising a family with Pepper. Thus, it's a fitting farewell to have a hero who's endeared himself to moviegoers over the span of 9 films and 12 years, proving himself to be the cornerstone of the MCU. Because let's not forget, it was the surprise success of 2008's Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark that got the whole Avengers juggernaut rolling. And there you have it, the top 10 superhero sacrifices in movies. Now, which one did you love or hate the most? Which one made you tear up? Leave a comment and let me know. Also, tell me what you thought of this video. You can press the like button if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe to my channel for more about the movies. I'll see you next time on the TV Regent.